Literature is the criticism of life. This statement is often heard. In this case study, I will use an actual event from our modern contemporary society to demonstrate it. My name is Chanchla. I am a student of MA English Semester 1 at Kanya Mahavidyalaya. Today, we are not merely discussing a fictional narrative, but a real and heroic tragedy that mirrors Aristotle's timeless definition. This is the story of Shraddha Walker's murder case, which is a real life incident, interpreting that how it evokes pity and fear according to Aristotle's concept of tragedy. Aristotle is known as the philosopher. He was a towering figure in ancient Greek philosophy who made noteworthy contributions to logic, mathematics, criticism, physics, metaphysics, and ethics. Aristotle, in his seminal work Poetics, defined tragedy as an imitation of an action that is serious, complete, and of a certain magnitude, evoking pity and fear in the audience. He indicates that it first raises the emotions of pity and fear, then purifies or purges them. Aristotle's Poetics outlines some key terms or elements to understand his theory of tragedy. Here are some of the most important terms. The first one is tragic hero. Tragic hero is a protagonist of the tragedy having noble stature. Then the second one is peripeteia. It is an unexpected reversal of fate from happiness to disaster. Hamartia. Hamartia refers to a protagonist's tragic flaw or error in judgment that leads to his inevitable downfall. The fourth one is anagnorisis. Anagnorisis indicates the moment of critical discovery or recognition. Catharsis refers to the emotional release or purification experienced through confronting intense emotions such as fear, anger, or sadness. In the heart of a city that never sleeps, darkness fell upon a life full of dreams. In the year 2022, the world was shocked by the news of Shraddha's gruesome murder. Shraddha Walker was a vibrant young woman with dreams and aspirations like any of us. She hailed from a loving family, but her life took a tragic turn when she fell in love with Aftab Punewala, a man whose actions would lead to her untimely demise. The details are chilling. She was allegedly killed by Aftab, who then went to extreme lengths to cover up his crime. The brutality of the act left everyone in disbelief and deep sorrow. Shraddha and Aftab met through an online dating app, Bumble. Their relationship was initially seen as a typical love story. However, it soon became clear that their bond was marked by control, manipulation, and eventually violence. The critical turning point or peripeteia occurred when disputes began to arise between them. According to Aristotle, one of the most important characteristics of a tragic hero is that he should have some inherent weaknesses, some tragic flaw in his character, which is called hamartia. Shraddha had also a tragic flaw in her character, which resulted in her inevitable downfall. One of her tragic flaws was that she was adamant. When her parents announced their disapproval of the relationship, she left them and said, "I am 25 years old. I have full right to take my own decisions. From today you can think you never had a daughter." So this stubbornness could be considered her tragic flaw. Isolation can be the another tragic flaw of the protagonist. Her mother was the only one that still spoke with her after she left home. When she moved to Delhi, she fell out of touch with her friends as well. Aftab was aware that Shraddha had no support system, so he carefully planned the murder. If Shraddha's inclination to trust, forgive, or give second chance led her to stay in a dangerous relationship, this could be considered her tragic flaw. She received death threats by Aftab. She registered a complaint and wrote to police that he beat her up, but Aftab manipulated her by saying sorry. She forgave him and asked the police to take no further action. Anagnorisis might be linked to the moment when Shraddha recognized the true nature of her partner's intention and inevitable danger that she was in. Unfortunately, this recognition came too late to prevent the tragedy. The letter she wrote to the police concludes with, "I am not willing to live with him, so any kind of physical damage should be considered coming from him." The real life tragedy of Shraddha evokes pity and fear due to the disturbing nature of the crime. She was killed by her partner, someone she loved and trusted the most, intensifies the pity. The thought of her sufferings in silence, possibly trapped and alone, stirs deep pity for her plight. The sheer brutality of Aftab's actions, first killing and then dismembering Shraddha, instills fear. This fear serves as an awareness that the worst of human actions can occur in the most intimate of relationships, behind closed doors, in the very spaces where people should feel safest. Every morning at 2 am, he would step out to dump the body parts. He burned the incense sticks, spray air freshener to hide the stench of the corpse. It produces horror and pity. Pity and fear lead to catharsis. The case deeply impacted society, sparkling widespread emotional release and public outcry. People expressed their grief and anger through social media and paying tributes. Protesters demanded justice for Shraddha. High-profile cases like Shraddha's often lead to call for legal reform, which can serve as a collective catharsis.
She was 27 years old and she ended up in at least 35 different parts. That was the end of young Shraddha Walker.
The emotions of pity and fear that Aristotle described were not just theoretical concepts. These were visceral reactions that I experienced firsthand while engaging with Shraddha's story. Initially, I was overwhelmed with horror and deep sense of sadness that made me difficult to engage with material objectivity. Every time I tried to analyze the case, the weight of tragedy clouded my thoughts. Over time, I processed and accepted the reality. Eventually, it teaches me how to integrate empathy and objectivity while dealing with such heartbreaking cases.